Babe, this is to answer your questions and maybe expand upon them a little bit rather than texting. Sorry, this is a ultimate coldness. Fucking bubbles, man. I don't care if it's Coke or Diet Coke. And the other day, I experimented and had Pepsi. And not Diet Pepsi, regular Pepsi. And it was good. It was weirdly, it was like a light, you know how Coke is syrupy and too heavy? It was like a similar flavor, but lighter. And Paul said he always liked Pepsi better because it's more quenching. I could see that. It tastes all right. So then a couple of days later, I had another one, and I was kind of like, this is wussy Coke. I love Coke. So, but if I'm ever, forced to have a Pepsi, it's okay. But that's not what this is about. I'm in front of a window. That's why there's this glow, heavenly glow. All right. So, your comment about Paul being like wuss dad really concerns me. There's pros and cons to it. I can be heavy-handed, come on too strong, be too aggressive, be scary, and he is more kind generally and patient generally, mellow, gentle, also less uptight about a lot of things that I might be uptight about, and then I realize upon reflection, I should have let that go. Or so he's like, we're like yin and yang, and I trust him with her, like for the basics, like to keep an eye on her when they're out in public, and I feel that he's responsible with her. But this like discipline thing is not only is he kind of weak with discipline, he questions me when I have the obvious solutions. And he did something bad yesterday at the park that we were at, the beach park. She wanted to run to the snack bar, which is at the opposite end of the parking lot. And she started running, and he was like, stop running in the parking lot, which was fine, good. He's all about street safety. He's terrified of her getting hit by a car. And so am I. Anyway, she's trying to like run down there, and I was like, I don't even think they're open until after Memorial Day, but it seemed like something was being set up. She had to go. So he walks there with her, and I'm lazy, and I'm just like hanging out in the car. And he comes back, they come back, and he's like, maybe he told me later. No, he told me about when it happened. He said, like, she was sitting on a chair, and these guys were setting up for some event. So he was like, we have to go, like, we're in their way, yada, yada, yada. And she was refusing. And I'm sure in a really annoying way. I mean, just refusing is annoying. I'm sure she was very annoying. And he went to pick her up, and she bit him really hard. And I know how that feels because I've been bitten. And the last time she bit me, I threw her onto the bed and I threatened her. And I was like, I'm stronger than you are. Don't do this to me. I've never hit you, but you might push me to do that. Something like that. So I threatened her and was intimidating. So I'm not proud of that. But his reaction was to pinch her. And so he tells me this, and I was like, that's really bad. And I was like, she was violent with you, and then you retaliated with violence. And immediately I'm like, look, I am not judging you. You've seen me not treat her well. You've seen me bully and intimidate her when I'm overwhelmed, when I'm bitten. So I'm very concerned at what you just did, but I know that you've been very concerned at how I'm treating her. So it's not good. And I was like, you have to apologize to her. You have to explain and you have to apologize. And this was back at home on our street, and she was playing a little up ahead, and he starts walking and he goes like a robot, okay, I'll apologize to her. And I go, stop walking away from me like a robot. And I thought that would piss him off more, but he actually turned around, and I was like, pretty much said what I already said. I was like, listen to me. Think about the behavior you're modeling. I know in the moment it's totally enraging and it catches you off guard and you feel hate and you can't believe it and you just want to, I get it. I've come very close to physical violence with her, but we can't just let this slide. And he's like, well, what should I do? And I was like, you could say, what you did when you bit me, like, that made me really angry. I know you wanted to stay in the chair, but that wasn't possible. And you made me so angry when you bit me. And when I get hurt, it's really hard for me not to hurt back. But I'm the adult. I'm your father. I should not have done that. I'm sorry. Like, that's kind of my script for me. And then he's like, no, what should I do in the moment? I was like, it's hard. I was like, I don't exactly know. I was like, especially when other people are around, like that kind of adds to like the being judged, feeling. So I would probably hold her arms and she'd scream that I'm squeezing them, but I wouldn't be squeezing them, and say, it's time to go. And if that didn't work, then I would pick her up and would go. And actually, I've been bitten when I've picked her up. So, and he's like, well, that's what I did. I did pick her up and walked her back to the car. But at that moment, she's on the beach playing with some little girl. And I was like, also, I would have picked her up, brought her back to the car, stuffed her in this car seat, and like, we're out of here. You're done playing. You don't get to have more fun here. And he was like, yeah, I thought about that, but I don't know. She ran onto the beach. So that actually, of everything, pisses me off the most, is that he had this chance to be like, you act like that, we leave. And I told him, I was like, when we're at playgrounds and I see her hitting someone, I get her and we go. And it's not even that dramatic. Like, I don't lecture her. I might be like, we're leaving because you bit that, or you hit that kid. Like, we can't stay in the park if you're going to do that. So, and I don't think he apologized to her. I know he didn't talk to her last night. I mean, it slipped my mind. I'm certain it slipped his mind. But yeah, he's easy to manipulate for her, and I think that's why she loves him more. Okay, anyway, the iPad. It was a little rough for us. Like, we were kind of panicking, like, fuck, like, what about our Dark Shadows time? Like, if she's like all bored, usually we send her off to our room and she's got the iPad, and she colors. She draws, and sometimes she looks at books as well, but the iPad is like the anchor. And so I found all these books that Sandra has given us that we haven't really delved into, and I like had the books out, and I had the big Casio keyboard out, and at one point she was like, "Isn't this electronics?" And I was like, "Yes, but there's no screen." I was like, "Fuck." And she was bitchy. She bitched about it. Complained, but it wasn't hysterical or tantrumy. And at one point she was complaining a lot, and I was like, do you understand why we're doing this? She's like, I know, it's because I ran away. I don't know. She was fussy about it on and off, but not what I expected. Bedtime came, and we sequestered her so we could have our Dark Shadows time. And there was definitely more calling out to us for silly things like, can I ask a question? And be like, why do birds fly? Or like that kind of like silly, just needing attention. And but even that wasn't that bad. That was kind of expected. I was more afraid of destructive behavior, like, I don't know, breaking shit or, like rage. But if that didn't happen, it really wasn't that bad. And then that's the other thing is like Paul was like, I don't know if we like. It feels weird to do this. It's basically an experiment with the iPad on the same night that she had stayed up till 7 in the morning, because if she goes to bed at a decent hour, is it because she's exhausted from having woken up so early, like stayed up all night, or the no iPad lets her natural tiredness kick in? Because I think the iPad totally interrupts that. There's much research. So it's like, like a bad study where there's two different things, and which one we don't know. I got his point, but anyway, we did it. So we watched Dark Shadows. The end of Dark Shadows, we're chatting, and she comes out, and she's like, did you take away my iPad because you don't like Roblox? That's this whole thing that she's into on the internet. And I hate it, but it's annoying. It's not like evil. I just hate it for annoyingness. But I was like, no. I was like, I don't like Roblox, but this is because you ran away and it was scary, and you do this a lot at parks, and we want to show you that we're very serious about you not doing that. That's the only reason. And she's like, okay. And then she seemed so relieved, and then she went and took a shit, and then she went to our bedroom, and it was quiet. And I said to Paul, I was like, I think she's asleep. And he's like, no. I was like, I think she is. And she was. And I'm so happy. And I look at the time, it's like 2:45 in the morning. I'm so happy she fell asleep at 2:45 in the morning. Well, it's better than 7 in the morning. And today, I could not wake her up. I brought chocolate milk to her room. I was tickling her, talking to her. I couldn't get up until 1. So I don't know. And she was really active yesterday, like the park and the beach and playing around the house. And it's so, Paul's like, she's never tired. Like she's never, but sometimes I see her rubbing her eyes. I don't know. I don't understand this child. I don't understand her. So, although I understand how to handle her better than my husband. Yeah, so now, like, I'm gonna take a shower and get dressed, and then we're gonna go for town and go to the park. And she's playing her iPad right now. She's excited. She didn't talk about it. She was up for like a half hour before she mentioned it, and she was casual. She's like, so I get that iPad back today, right? And I was like, yeah. And she keeps eating her breakfast. Like, she wasn't like, it's my iPad. She also was expecting. Okay, this is gonna cut me off. I know it's at 14:24. That I hope answers your questions. Goodbye.